Hey, it's MJ and Kate. Hey, Kate.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today?
Oh gosh, I'm doing pretty good. I got my cup of joy here. What's my cup of joy?
Oh, yeah, this is mine. This is a ceramic mug, and I'm
Okay.
telling you, this is the best thing because it doesn't taste all metally and tinny when you're traveling, and it has a
Th-
lid.
There you go. There you go. Do you know what today is, other than what we're talking about today?
I do. It is ground. No, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Groundhog Day. I don't know what is today.
Well, we'll have to talk to Phil tomorrow. See what see what happens. We'll let y'all know if we're gonna have more winter or not. But we definitely know we're having a big winter storm. But today is National Change Your Password Day.
Oh, I shouldn't tell you how often I don't do that.
So you're supposed to change your passwords today.
Oh, so do you have multiple passwords, Michael J, or do you have like one that's your go-to and you mix it up a little bit depending on the thing?
Well, I don't want to say out loud because it's broadcasted, so I don't want anybody to figure out my
Okay, that's probably a good
pattern.
idea.
But if you're trying to think of a new thing that might be just related to you regarding passwords, think about what you did for your New Year's resolution, and you could use that as part of your password. So
Oh,
maybe
so
other
Michael
people
J,
don't
what's
know.
your New Year's resolution?
Well, if you would have watched the show MJ and Kate on Us, you would have figured that out. So I'm not using that technique.
Touche.
Otherwise, you might know what her password is. So, um,
Yeah, my password is not anything to do with my New Year's resolution, and my New Year's resolution was to be here with you every Tuesday morning. And so
yay!
far, I have been on time, but
we,
maybe not technologically savvy about it, but on
so,
time nonetheless.
so it seems like we have to have some sort of technical thing every time we get started here. So it just
It
makes it part
does.
fun of the show, right?
It is. It is.
so, um, so today we're talking about National Burn Awareness Week, and I think it was interesting, Kate, as you send out some information to people asking questions. More people talked about, I guess, fire themselves, right?
They did. So I pivoted because, this is the year of the pivot or the last 2 years of the pivot, right? So I changed directions a little bit. We are going to talk a
Okay.
little bit about burn prevention, but we are going to talk about burn awareness. And it kind of, because everyone was so focused on fire. Uh-oh, can you hear me? Can
I
you
can
hear
hear you
me?
fine. I just
Oh,
muted myself because I didn't want any extra background noise.
oh, okay. Oh, that's so funny. I was thinking I had a
All of a sudden you
technological
thought,
issue.
all of a sudden you thought, oh my gosh, she's gone. Where did he go?
That's so awesome. So anyway, burning issues in the kitchen is what the National Burn Awareness Week is going to focus on. So we're kind of jumping the gun a bit because it is next week. But um, let me pull up. I'm going to cheat. So I have notes and I'm going to use them because I like notes and I'm not nearly as good at improv as Michael J is. So um, because we are focusing on burns in the kitchen, who wouldn't love to have this kitchen? I think this kitchen is so fun.
That's cool.
I would love this kitchen, but um, it is National Burn Awareness Week. And if you go to ameriburn.org, it tells you all the information you would ever need to know about protecting your family in the kitchen and how to stay safe. So, Michael J, it is quiz time. And
Oh,
we're going to pretend this is my kitchen. And we are in the kitchen with Kate.
ding, ding,
And
ding, ding, ding.
I'm going to quiz you
Okay.
on some things. And because we're focusing on burns in the kitchen,
All right.
um, I'm going to show this
Oh,
graphic. Yes. And what
I like the other
percentage?
kitchen.
Yeah, the other kitchen looks so much better, right? What percentage of burns are caused in the home? Is it 73%, 5%, or 9%?
Hmm. I'm gonna go with 73.
That is correct.
Yeah.
73% of burns are caused in the home. Um, Do you know what percentage of burns are caused by fire? Is it
S-
34, 43, or 7?
Well, I knew it had to be in the home, 73, because I can't remember the last time I was walking down the street and got burned. So, so I had to know that. We're just trying to add a little bit of humor to this topic
Yes.
without being what you call it,
Morbid?
yeah, or insensitive, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
So what percentage of the burns are caused by fire?
I asked this question to someone this morning and they're like, 100%. And I was like,
No, because it's chemical burns.
there's chemical burns. You can get burned by the sun. That
Yeah,
happens regularly.
yeah.
Um, there's
There's
also
friction burns.
scalding burns.
Oh yeah, scald steam.
Yep. So
Yeah.
now that you know it's not
Um.
100%, what do you
Okay.
think is by fire?
Let's go 34.
That's a good guess. 34% of burns are caused by scalding.
Okay.
And if you were to treat scalding, I think a lot of people think like you should put ice on it right away or something to cool it
Yeah.
off, but that actually can cause the burn to spread.
Oh yeah, blister.
Um, yeah. So what you want to do is you want to remove your clothing that has the wet um, area that might have gotten scalded if you had clothing on top of the burn.
Right.
You'll remove that and then you'll just run it under cool water, but not ice cold water. Um, so burns caused by fire is 43% of burns are caused by fire. So
43%. Wow.
yeah, that's a large number. And it's crazy to me because when I was researching for this week, one of the things I learned is that there's only something like 128 burn units in the country, like that
Oh
specialize in burns. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's not very many hospitals that are out there taking care of burn victims. Not that they don't, they just don't have the triage kind of facility, right, to take care of the burn victims.
Okay.
Um, so Um, here's a fun one. Oops, if I why there we go. What percentage of fires are caused by not your cooking or my cooking, Michael J, because we are both great cooks, but what percentage of fires are caused by cooking?
Um. hmm.
You have a
I'm gonna
couple
go
of
by 20%.
20%?
Mm-hmm.
You would be wrong. Cooking
Oh.
accounts for 50% of all residential fires in the
Wow.
US. Isn't that insane?
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
That is a very large amount of fires caused by cooking. So that's one of the reasons why we need to do a better job at keeping our families safe when we're cooking. I don't know about you, but when my kids were young, I like have them help me in the kitchen. But they're saying that your kids should stay 3 feet away from the stove. So just make sure that you flip those handles in so that they're not going to run by the handles. Another interesting thing is see those towels, Michael J?
Yeah, the kids can pull up on them.
Yeah. So, what is the best way to properly hang your towel? Should you tie it so it doesn't fall, fold it over like you see in this picture, or should you just not have them on your stove at all?
Well, probably not have them on the stove at all.
That is the correct answer. I would
Yeah.
bet that at least 90% of the homes I go into look a lot like this.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings us to our next topic because when you have things around the stove, like even like this little plastic toy here, like having things around the stove that clutter and right by things that can splatter can cause fire. So, other than a lid, Michael J, what are some ways that you can prevent grease fires?
That you could prevent or like put out a grease fire.
Prevent. So,
Oh,
like,
like a screen. You could have a screen over the item. We
mhm.
have a couple of cooking screens that we or splatter guards, whatever you want to call them. They also double great over a pot of boiling water to steam your tortillas if you want to make burritos.
Nice. I like that tip. That's a good tip. We should have cooking tips with Michael J.
What was the other one? I thought of another one too, but anyway, we should put on the list.
Yes. So
Oh,
that's a
exactly. Look at that.
if you don't know what a cooking screen is, this is I didn't see one of these until I was like in my mid 20s and I still don't have one by the way, but I think this is the most ingenious tool ever just to keep your stove clean like
Yeah.
if nothing else.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of those, and we pull that picture back up, and
Oh
we
sure.
just, yeah, and like I said, we just put it over a pot of boiling water, just a little bit of water in there. You don't have to have a full pot, but we use that to steam our. Ever since I was a kid, to steam our burritos.
Nice. So, you know what I do with our burritos, which is probably not a good fire prevention tool, but it makes them taste so good, is I would turn because we had well, we still have an electric stove, and I won't do it on my new one, but my old one, I would turn the burner on and I would like quickly flip it back and forth so it gets
Oh,
those char
on the
marks.
gas thing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I love a little charred tortilla. So,
I
I
had a
mean,
chef that would do that with peppers.
oh, yes.
Yep.
I love roasted peppers. Those are so good. Also could cause fire if you're not properly trained. So
Yeah,
don't.
we're not making any kind of cooking recommendations today.
Yeah, no, we're not going to draw any correlations here. Um, Something else that most people don't do as regularly as they should is cleaning off the top of their stoves because the grease splatter, it's not just messy and gross and should be cleaned every day. And I don't know about you, Michael J, but cleaning the kitchen is one of our kids' chores. So they don't necessarily clean the stove as well or as often as they should when they do the dishes.
Okay,
Um, but part of the reason why grease fires happen is because when there's
build
still
up.
grease buildup
Yep.
and then a spark or something and then it flames up. And then what about your cupboards? I'm going to show this fire picture again. I know it's not fun. And I have a pointer, but no one can see what I'm doing. So that those flames up there that are in those cabinets are largely caused because most people in residential homes don't have that vent that goes to the outside of the home. So
Okay.
the air isn't really circulating out, it's just circulating up. And so what's happening is the grease is collecting on these cabinets and above. Like, see how there's that air gap between the cabinet
Right.
and the ceiling?
Yep.
So there's grease up there and it causes the fire to spread rapidly because how often do you actually wash your cabinets, Michael J?
Once a year.
Once a year. That is an honest answer. I love it. I think that we are kind of in the similar category. Matt might kill me because Matt probably does clean them more often than that.
Oh yeah.
He's
Okay.
definitely he is.
I mean, like deep clean, like the
Yeah,
tops,
deep
down
clean
the
like that.
sides, and all that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a handy tip. I set alarms in my phone on a schedule. Like every 6 months, pull the refrigerator out, clean behind it. Another 6 months, pull out the stove and clean the walls and behind it. So I
Yes.
have crazy things like that set up in my in my calendar.
We had to do that for our furnace filter because we would just forget and our furnace filter would end up being like caked with stuff
Yeah.
because you only
Yeah.
change it every 3 months. So who remembers? Well, what month was it? Did we do it that? What? Um, so Michael J, cleaning the cabinets is important to prevent grease fire. But what happens if you do have a grease fire? What's the best way to put out a grease fire? Do you know?
Um, it's not the garden hose.
It is not. Water is an absolute no-no when it comes to grease fires. That will cause it to spread.
So a lid. You can put a lid on it. You can baking soda. It's probably one of
Yes.
the best things that you have right in the kitchen. Hopefully by the stove.
Yes. Yep.
You could
Uh-huh.
do baking soda, and you could also cover it with some other kind of like fire blanket or fire extinguisher, something like that.
Yes. So you mentioned great things. A couple things not to do. Like you said, don't use the hose. That's a bad idea. And in addition to the mess that it will create in the kitchen, it will spread the fire. Um, And then some people think that you can use flour, but flour is actually
Oh,
flammable. So don't do flour. If you've ever made a brown roux, you know and understand how fire or how flour can like really bake very, very quickly and turn brown and burn. And don't flour's bad for putting out a
y-
fire.
yeah. Unfortunately, that did happen to me. I had one of those shakers, and I put the hot liquid in, and I put the flour in, and went to go shake it up, right? And the top popped off like with a really loud boom sound, and I felt this stuff go across my face and all
Oh,
over the ceiling, and I screamed like so loud because I just thought my whole face like melted off.
yeah.
but but fortunately, I was okay, and we
Oh my,
just had a massive mess to clean up. But
oh my
yeah,
gosh, Michael
don't
J.
mix the hot water and the flour and the in the shaker thing.
No,
Don't do
that's
that.
terrible. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
That's probably my worst kitchen accident, probably.
Yeah, I put my hand in a fryer before.
Oh well, that's
Like
not good either.
so when you're cooking in a fryer, you put the meat in away from you, right? So that
Correct.
the flame.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but I when I did it, I drug my hand through the. It was at a restaurant, so it was a full
Oh
fryer,
wow.
and I drug my hand through the grease. I ended up with a blister from like here to here of my whole hand, and I still had to work my entire shift. And I basically like just had my hand over here, and then I was either engaged or dating Matt. I was engaged because I was back in Michigan working at the restaurant. And I drove up to Mount Pleasant to visit him. And it was actually this hand because I drove with my hand out the window the entire way up to Mount Pleasant from Lansing to go visit him. It was the worst. It was awful. It was a very awful, awful fire or burn. Sorry. Okay.
So before you ask any more questions, we have some people live. We have some people on Facebook, and we have somebody on Twitch.
Oh,
Did you know
awesome.
we're broadcasting on Twitch?
I
So
forget that we do the Twitch one too.
yeah, so we're on Twitch. We got somebody watching. So hello, Twitch, out there, and we'll be able to people will be able to hear us offline coming up soon if they want to hear us on the go, like in the car or something, through streaming a voice podcast.
Oh, awesome.
But more information on that later. Go ahead, Kate.
Michael J's full of surprises. I didn't know about this. I kind of need the details. Um, so we were just talking about grease fires. So another way to prevent grease fires
Not to be
is
confused with grease lightning, right?
grease lightning, go grease lightning.
Oh, there you
Um,
go. I didn't know you had a picture of my house.
yeah, right. So this is MJ's kitchen. Um, I don't like the whole dishes showing though because I
Oh,
could
the
never
open
keep it
open
that
shelves,
neat.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It,
not that neat of a
yeah.
person. I
And
like
if you were at
doors.
our house, we have different styles.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I like the
Um,
nice hood though.
I know. So this is a hood that ventilates to the outside of the house.
Hmm.
How often should you get the hood professionally cleaned?
Probably
What's the
yearly.
recommendation?
I don't know, yearly?
So yearly is a little
Too
not
long?
enough.
Six
Yeah.
months?
Professionally, of course, these are from fire professionals, right? Because
Oh, okay.
I'm in insurance, so we think extreme, like what's the worst thing that could possibly happen, which is your house burning down. And firemen and fire companies agree. So they recommend that you should actually get your hoods cleaned once a month professionally if you're using your kitchen on a daily basis. If you're eating out a lot or whatever, that could go down, but um, making sure that you get them professionally clean because there's all stuff up here that you can't get if it's just you. And it's just really important that if you're going to invest in an event, make sure that you're actually taking care of it and protecting your family at the same time. Um, and so
Was
that's
that like a real kitchen somewhere? Because it had sprinklers.
so that's actually interestingly enough. I think those are
Oh
lights
no, those are
actually.
lights.
Okay.
No, but there is a
Yeah.
sprinkler right here above the next to the hood.
Oh, I wish I could. I can't see it. So, they do recommend a lot of building code advocates are trying to advocate for sprinklers throughout homes because it can drastically increase the likelihood of survival if your home does catch on fire.
Right.
Um, so here is a question for you, Michael J. Do you
Okay.
sleep with the door open or the door closed?
We have slept with the doors closed ever since I can remember. As a kid, and then with our own kids, we did the same thing. So we were told early on, and it wasn't necessarily for fire, but just for the fact that what's normal to your kids, you start when they're young, and then that becomes their normal as they grow up. So one of the things we did was, in your room, it's dark, the door's closed, and so that's the way they sleep now.
Well, that's very good. So in our house, we are house divided. Teresa and I like the door to be closed. Matt and Isaac would like the door to be opened. In my room and Teresa's room, we keep our doors shut. And I would love if Isaac would shut his door, but he just won't. And he hasn't since he was a real young kid. He gets out of bed and opens the door. And I can't keep it shut. So this is why, though, you need to keep it shut. This picture on the right is what a bedroom looks like in a house fire that the person left the door open. And the picture on the left is what the bedroom looks like with the door closed, or that the door was left closed during the fire. And they say that this room the room on the left that looks like it was basically untouched by the fire only gets to about 100 degrees in a fire if the door is kept shut. In this room, the temperatures are upwards of 1,000 degrees and more.
Wow.
So imagine the burn situation in this room versus the burn situation in this room. Um, the other question, though, that I have that kind of goes along with that, Michael J, is how much time do you think you have to evacuate your home during a fire? 3 minutes? 5 minutes? 17 minutes?
It depends on where the fire is. um, and what type of fire. You could just have minutes. I don't know,
So
17 minutes? Is that
So
too long?
back in the day, that is way too long. Back in the day when things were not nearly as synthetic, you did have 17 minutes. But now they say that if your home is on fire, you have about 3 minutes to evacuate your home.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's not a lot
Yes,
of time.
it is not a lot of time. So it's really important. And one of the things I want all of you to take away today is shutting those bedroom doors and having a plan. You don't want to lose a loved one because you don't have a plan. And part of that plan is practice. A
Hmm.
lot of research I did showed that parents went back into a burning fire because part of their plan didn't include a meeting place. So they assumed their child was still in the home and the child wasn't. And so they ended up with very bad burns over large portions of their body, or the parent passed away because they went back into the house to look for a child, right? Because as any parent would
Yeah.
do, you would want to make sure your kids get out. So practice a plan. Make sure you have ladders on your second floor to get out of your windows, and make sure your kids know how to use the ladders and get out of their windows safely. Because when your house is on fire, if they've never practiced that ladder, they're not going to know how to use it in a fire. Um,
We really struggled with that when we lived in a two-story house. We're now in a ranch, one story, with a basement. But we had one side of the house that was kind of over. The windows were over the garage, so it wasn't much of a big of a jump. But on the back side of the house, it was almost three stories, right? Because it was the second
yeah.
story, the main story, and then of course the basement was, faced the outside, was partially outside. So we
Mhm.
struggled whether or not to get the spend the money on the fire ladders, or where we put them, or would the kids play with them, or that sort of thing. And then it was like, well, they have the ones that you can buy, you can stick in the wall. You cut a little thing, and it's like a little fire door kind of thing, and you got a fire ladder in there, put them under the windows. But then, how do you do all that? And so you just, sometimes I get overwhelmed. I just don't do it. But,
Yeah.
that could be a lot of people, the same thing. So probably prudence is better, right? To just have the ladders on hand and figure out how to use them. So.
Yes, and we live in a two-story house, and we do not have ladders. Isaac really doesn't need one because his bedroom goes out over the awning, so or like the the porch, so he'll
Yeah.
be able to he has an easy out. But Teresa, she needs a ladder, and she's kind of got that same situation. She has the basement plus the lower level and
Hmm.
our level. So yeah, she needs a ladder, and she's old enough that she would definitely not play on the ladder. So
Yeah.
at least I would like to think so.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, I know we only have a few minutes left, so um, making sure that your insurance is correct is the last thing I wanted to just kind of touch on. Your dwelling coverage on your home, Michael J, is it supposed to be the rebuild value, the market value, or is it a combination of both?
I think it should be a combination of both.
You are incorrect.
That's why I'm not on the insurance side. I
That's
know
right.
I that's why when we talked to Kate Landis at the Landis agency, we decided to buy for our house the rebuild value.
Yes, you do the rebuild value because the job of your insurance is to rebuild your home, not sell your home. So if you make any updates to your home or anything like that, you're going to want to make sure you let your insurance person know because any updates over $5,000 are not really kind of covered in your original rebuild assessment. So if you do new floors without throughout the home, or if you do a new deck or anything like that, you're going to want to make sure that you talk to your insurance advisor. If you're not sure if you have the right coverage on your home, that is my QR code. If you scan that in, you would be able to um, send me your information. We can get in touch. That's also my business number. So you can also call that, and I'd be happy to make sure that you have the protection you need if your home does have a fire. And unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of people never updated their rebuild values. Were you still using that, Michael J?
Oh, I did it with my phone, so
Oh,
I scanned
awesome.
it. Yep, it
Yes.
says, "Hey, thanks for scanning. Accept or not."
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, we have just a few seconds left, Michael J. Do you have anything you'd like to leave our guests with?
Well, remember we start 2 minutes early, so with the pre-show, so we actually have
Oh, that's right.
yeah, so you get to go all the way to 23 after.
Perfect. I like it. Um, oh yeah, it's only 9:28. Gosh. Um, well then I'll take a little bit more time to discuss that. If you have a house and you're making any changes, if you haven't rebuilt or haven't reviewed that number in the last 2 years, the costs of rebuilding have skyrocketed exponentially. And most homeowners insurance policies didn't, their normal setting doesn't calculate for that big of a jump in rebuild prices. And Matt and I have someone we're close to that did experience a house fire, and that number was not correct on their insurance. And so it's caused a lot of headache for them and a lot of decisions that had to be made about what weren't they going to have because they didn't have the right insurance in place to begin with. So there's a myth out there that if you don't tell your insurance advisor everything, then it'll be okay. The reality is, if you don't tell your insurance advisor everything, you could be left with less than what you had to begin with. And that's our goal as insurance advisors, is to make sure you actually have protection. And my office just lost power somehow, but not completely
No,
because
you
my
don't know.
lights are still
Oh, your
on.
lights on. Your lights on in the back there.
So that's weird, but my laptop is still on too. And
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
I still see you and hear you. So
Okay, so that's good.
yeah.
More technology issues. What is it with me? That's interesting. So anyway,
We'll have to be in the same studio one day.
I know. And then what will my excuse be? I don't understand what's going
So,
on.
so these are some great reminders that Kate gave us on this. That we're celebrating National Burn Awareness Week, which is coming up the first full week here of February, and just so you have an opportunity to look at those items that are in your house that could be causing a burn, either for yourself or for a member of the family, and to check with your insurance agency. I know I'm going to call Kate Landis at the Landis agency and double check a couple of things because it's because it just brought up a couple of things for me. So, like this room wasn't here when we bought the house, but I don't remember if we actually included that.
Oh, that's a really good point, Michael J.
Yeah.
We should probably take a look at that.
So this was an add-on. So, and what about televisions? I just want a new TV.
So if you want a new TV, make sure you have replacement cost on
Okay.
your insurance. That actually
Okay.
does matter. Some
Oh
people
yeah, we
don't.
have replacement cost, but
Yes.
maybe we just need to update. We have another TV. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It should be all covered in your personal property coverage.
Okay, okay. Well, next week we're going to be back with MJ and Kate at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. That'll be February the 11th, I believe, or 7 days from now. So
The
we'd
8th.
be 8th, yeah, the 8th, and we'll be talking about the spring market as far as housing goes here in the Grand Rapids area.
I'm really
So
excited about that, Michael J. I can't wait to figure out where my next move will be.
your next move will be. Sounds good. Sounds good. Any last minute shots?
I don't think so. I just make sure you guys put some comments in there and let us know what we can do for you to be more entertaining.
Besides technical glitch.
Yeah, something we can't keep relying on that as our blooper reel.
As our blooper reel. So should have green screen next week.
Oh, do you have that? I don't see it sitting on your wall anymore.
Oh no, no, it's up here. See, it's up here.
Oh, I love it. So you'll be doing the weather
So
next week.
we'll be doing the weather next week. All right, Kate. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, bye
Bye
guys.
now. Love you guys.